Hello everyone, welcome to another Tuesday board game devotional at the Manse. Chad's going to break down a couple games for us that we've chosen, and then I am just going to talk a little bit about it.
So the theme of this week is what's called cooperative board games. So those are board games that you play together with other people, and instead of playing against one another, you play together as a team or a group to try to beat the game itself. It's a really popular genre of board game that's really taken off in the last, 10 years or so, I'd say. And so I've got two games that I'm going to talk about quickly. The first one, and probably most popular cooperative board game that exists, you've probably heard of it, is a game called Pandemic. And we thought about talking about Pandemic, whether or not we should do it, and we decided in the end that given the circumstances, it's still okay. And the reason I think it's okay is because it can be used as a really good teaching tool for young kids to kind of teach them how quickly and how devastating pandemics can be in the world. And so it kind of provides this somewhat kind of simulation for what's happening in the real world right now. The other nice thing about it is that every player is assigned a particular person and a particular job who has special abilities. And those people, it just shows how many people are needed to kind of fight against, the pandemics that can threaten our world, and also how many areas of life things like pandemics and diseases can affect. So like, for example, there's a community planner, there's a scientist or a researcher, a dispatcher, a medic, an army personnel, an operations expert who's on the ground running machinery. So it just kind of shows you how many different kinds of people and jobs are needed to help, deal with real-life emergencies like pandemics. The other cooperative board game that we'll quickly talk about is this. It's called Batman, the animated series, Gotham Under Siege. And very similar to Pandemic, everyone can pick a different person, Batman, Robin, the Gotham Police, and they play as those people. And each character has different abilities that they can contribute to the group to try and make it through. The game works by you set up the city, and you're bombarded on every side of the city by different threats or disasters, and which I think is kind of relevant of where we find ourselves today. And Amanda's going to talk a little more about that.
Yeah, so when we originally started talking about what we were going to do for today, we thought cooperative games were a great idea, only because as Canadians, as people on the island, we're all doing our part to flatten the curve. And like Pandemic or like Batman, we all have a role to play in that, in how we act and what we do and things like that. So that's kind of where we were thinking initially. And then I'm sure, as you know, the other thing that has happened is that we've had one of the worst kind of mass shootings in Canadian history in Nova Scotia. And I don't know about you, but that's hit really hard over the last few days as I watched the news coverage, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And just last night, maybe you noticed, people were asked at 8:30 last night to light a light and put it on their deck or in their window, just to show how Nova Scotia's strong and how we're all in this together. And they were supposed to take a couple minutes of silence when we did that, which brought to mind a verse, and it's one we always use around Easter, and it's John 1:5, and it's the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So I was thinking about that in terms of people around the world battling the COVID outbreak. I've been thinking about it as Canadians and as Maritimers as we grapple with what's happened here. And so just thinking about how, the light shines in the darkness, and we light lights on our porches and in our windows and in our lives. And we all have a role to play in all of these stories, and how we support one another and how we love one another and how we care for one another. So I pray that you don't feel like your light is beginning to flicker, and that you're feeling like you still have a part and a place in all of this, and that we can all help one another. So sending you love, and we can't wait to be together again. And until then, we will see you later.